Anyone in their right mind would choose to turn on their camera and have a topic addressing you, Amari, is just as insane as you are. And so, regardless of the outcome of this video and the response to this video, I'm going to acknowledge that this is a moment of insanity for me. I've been watching you for years with your shenanigans, and for a time I have respected your hustle. I thought to myself that there were so many people from Jamaica and other parts of the world who have enjoyed coming out and attacking your character or your personality. And some of the things that you go on with really, for some would be disgraceful, for others is entertaining. I'm not touching your hustle, but I'm going to say some things to you today, and you don't have to listen. I'm going to say to you today that first of all, the first question I'm going to say to you is, what is the price of fame? Because you came out to the world, and at this point with your Neko hit, if I could call it that, you know, you would have a lot to be proud of, knowing that you've been through so many things in life. You've shared your story time and time again. And, you have shown resilience. Now, I'm not going to make this a moral debate, but I'm going to say this to you, that there are individuals in this world who have had many opportunities to change their life. And because of whatever it is about those persons, they sabotage their own progress. They sabotage their own success. And I don't know if this is what you're doing. I don't know if I can clearly stamp it and say, yes, Amari, you're sabotaging your own growth and your own success, because you have done this thing on your own for all these years. Of course, you've always known what sort of train to hop on or off when it is important for you to do so. And a lot of persons like to label you as crazy, but you're far from it. You're far from crazy. Maybe manipulative, but not crazy. And, some people call you a genius because what you've done is you have given them what they actually desire, which is disgrace, drama, and filthy content. These individuals oftentimes come under your videos and tell you how you need to change your ways, but they don't stop coming. And people who are truly disgusted by anything, they don't continuously return to hear more of the thing that is considered disgusting and still leave you messages. So these ones are enjoying it. And what is good about you, Amari, is that especially Jamaican people, the fake thing about being spiritual and the fake thing about being, let's say righteous. They buy into that idea, but they often don't demonstrate that with their action. What they actually want is this. They want the dirt. They want the drama. They tune in. They tune in time after time, year after year, just to see you act disgraceful. And then they get so arrogant and talk down to you. Some, not everyone. Some actually mean you well and want to tell you the truth. But then there are others who just love drama. You will see these same person's name under other drama videos. So, I don't really pay attention to those comments. However, I felt like I had to make this video for no other reason except to say to yourself, know what you want, and when you get it, recognize it for what it is, and use the opportunity to, make money for yourself, of course, and for your children. But some of your storylines, and let me tell you this, I do understand that a lot of what you put out here is what you think the people want, which is the drama and the disgraceful acts. But what I don't like is that you use your children. So you're not afraid to disgrace the children. And then I'm not going to say all the children, I'm going to say your male children, sorry. You use your male children in the most disgraceful ways to gain your fame. And a lot of what you say, is not how you are in private, but you don't mind presenting that image to the world about, for example, Anwar. Now, I'm sure he's not a perfect child. I'm sure he has flaws, but the way you rope him in and then you let him out, you put him out. You cannot do that to the girls. The girls will not allow you to do that. And so these girls have had some bad, sort of repetition as if they're disrespectful. But the truth is, they're more like you, and they know how to deal with you. Whereas the boys are more quiet. The boys, not that the girls don't love you, but the boys respect you more. And what I find out, there's a theme, there's a trend that is now showing that you don't know how to handle men or treat men who show you respect. So this thing with you and your beau that you've been with for what, 10 years, you tend to tell the story about how long you've been with this man, and that is very common of a lot of women. A lot of women are in abusive relationships over the years, and they stay in it because they need to count the numbers to tell people how long they're together in these toxic situations. Now, this situation with you and Colin might actually be a part of the act, but it doesn't matter. Any woman who is as intelligent as you are, because no one can say you're not, would allow a storyline like a man abusing his woman and degrading her verbally, and then showing that toxic situation where you keep letting that person go and ingratiating that person back into your life is very problematic. That's not the message that I would want someone who is as influential as you are. And people might say you're not influential, but influence is influence, whether it's negative or positive, Amari. And so the message you send out there is to encourage women to stay in toxic situations with men who abuse them verbally and physically. And so you're in Jamaica, and your storyline expand and contract as you see it fit. And your young son, David, who went to Jamaica for the first time, he's there with you and has demonstrated himself to be nothing but a gentleman. And whether it's a storyline or not, you're prepared to throw him out there like you do Anwar and say things that are very disrespectful. Now it is your son. You gave birth to him, and so you can do whatever you want to do with your son. I'm just saying, as an observer looking on, why is it that your storyline have to put your son out there in the most demeaning way? And people are in love with David. And for your information, in spite of all the times you've been out here and trying to seek the fame that you're seeking, this guy single-handedly has pivoted you to the top. It is David's work, whether you pay him or not, that's not my business. It's David's work on your video that has given it new light. Because you see, when you attach yourself to positive energy, positive things will come from that. And so this young man has no negativity surrounding him, and so whatever he touches is blessed. And now you are supposed to be enjoying this. People are starting to look at you, and some of the hypocrites, of course, who hate you and say negative things about you, I'm amazed to see how well they're so much in support of you. But at least run with that. At least run with that, Amari, rather than getting to the storyline now where you're trying to present your son as a criminal. Now, who is going to believe that storyline? I don't know, because no one could be that heartless. And if you are, you would be a very dangerous person. Because if you're able to know that your child is in trouble, and all of a sudden you're putting on this obvious spin where someone would have taken his shoes and done something to him. Nobody knows David. Why would they want to take his shoes and to do harm to him? It doesn't work that way. And what you folks do is just try to use the worst part of our African spirituality to demonstrate nothing but evil. You contribute to that negative stereotype that in terms of our spirituality, all we know, Obia, for example, would be something that is only demonic and is dark. Where if it's about African spirituality, it's about healing, it's about growth, it's about learning how to read the stars, knowing when to plant your food. We choose the worst part of our African spirituality to downplay the fact that, we are evil. And so 1 minute you are a Christian, and the next minute you are speaking to Mum, whom I think this is really not a part of the play. This part is true, where you use this idea of this deity, this ancestor who comes back to assist you, you use it to manipulate your children. And it's very unfortunate, because the sad thing is they believe it. And instead of using that deity or that ancestor to influence them to grow and to be better people. You leave them in this dormant state. You leave them in this place of low frequency where they're always fighting. You know, as the young man says, you go around the house to see who you can get to fight. It is very true. What does come across also in your house play is the fact that you are jealous of your children's relationships. You see what it's like to have lost your children, and you hold on to them and you do what you can to keep your family together. That is nice to see. But at the same time, by the time you're done with this house play and this show, you might gain wealth, but don't you think you would tarnish the children's reputation, and the examples you would set for them would then cause them to repeat that negative cycle? Amari, please note that you have to know when to run and you know when to fold, and you have to know when you have to take a break, and you must know when it's time to say thanks, to give thanks, and it's time when to be quiet. You have to be able to know the difference between all these things that I've listed, so that when the blessings come into your life, you bring it in with thanksgiving, and you don't do things to sabotage your own success. What you're doing with the David situation is clear that the young man does not want to participate in this new part of your story. It is very clear that he's been forced to do it. But what is worst, and if it's even a part of the play, is disgusting to see how you would want to take these risks and these chances with your own finances, and then you want to drag the kids down in it, because what it seems or appears to be is that you're asking David to stay in Jamaica with you as you ride this wave of success, and it sometimes look like a wave of destruction. You don't know when it's time to take a bow and to go home. You're asking your son to stay there, and by the time he's done, his relationship will be over, because you're deliberately saying things about David and his relationship that could tarnish his image or his relationship with his partner. He came to Jamaica to support you, and instead you're throwing him to the wolves. And thank goodness nobody's believing that story. Everyone sees that it's not true, and you're coming across as very ungrateful. So even if that's the storyline, you're presenting that in a way that people are beginning to say this is who you are, and that no one can stay around you and grow, that you are destructive by nature. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is how you're presenting yourself, Amari. You are presenting yourself to be a toxic person. And if you go back to your relationship with Golly, I'm sure you wanted to ride on his fame, but at the end of the day, you did do things and say things that caused people to lose respect for him. You can't continue to present yourself in a light where people look at you as if you're like this widow spider. I mean, no matter how much you want fame, you can't want it that bad where you're willing to throw your children, not under the bus, but, in a place where when you're done with them, they're destroyed. It would explain why the girls are not respectful. It would explain and indicate that some of the behavior we see of the girls is as a result of you being their greatest influencer. And that shouldn't be the case. You all should grow. You all should prosper. You all should be able to do well. Even if it's performance. Even if it's performance, you still have to understand that if you're going to be putting a play out using a reality series, you're leaving with people, or especially feeble-minded people, the idea that this filth that you offer is something that is going to allow people to get rich from or grow from. There are young people watching you. There are other persons watching you. I'm not saying you're responsible for other people's children, but I struggle to understand, why would you want to present the worst part of yourself? You've done that already in the past. There's an opportunity to switch that up and still be entertaining, because you have a great sense of humor. You are a funny person sometimes. And I have watched you. I can't say I watch you religiously, but I have watched you over the years. And I've seen you hustle and understand it. But truthfully speaking, it's hard to stomach what you're doing with this David situation, it doesn't look good. And I want you to understand that if you do have enemies, they are people who will use the opportunity to harm your son. I also want to say this to you, to Amari, because you keep using the example that you're a Jamaican citizen and they arrested you and they didn't arrest David. What mother would want their son to be arrested to prove what? Why would you want that to happen to your son? I almost want to believe that that part is not a script. That is true. Why do you want to destroy your sons? Why would you want to do that to David? That's his opportunity for his business to take off too, because the boy has, or the young man has true talent. Why would you want to take away his helpmate, the person that he loves and that loves him? And I hope if she's watching this, she understands that the story about David in Jamaica, and the kind of, sort of subliminal message that he's seeing other people or is doing things out of the line, it's not true. Hopefully you know your boyfriend enough to know that this is a part of the story and not allow anyone to come between you, because there are times when a mom says she loves her children, but she does things to affect their relationship, whether it's willingly or unwittingly. But Amari, you are deliberately sabotaging the boys in your life. You're not just the boys, your children's relationship. If you choose to be in a toxic relationship with somebody and it works for you, and something tells me you would never want a guy who's nice and humble and respectful, you would not be able to handle that because you do like the drama. But allow your kids to have their own experiences and hopefully to become a family and grow with their family instead of, trying to attack. You did that with Anwar's girlfriend. By the time you were on her side one time and the next time you're on Anwar's side, and before you know it, they broke up. The same thing is true, now for David and his partner. And the same thing is true for Nikki and her boyfriend, regardless of who you say Jonathan is. If those two persons took you seriously, that child would come into the world and they would not have a father and a mother together. You cannot do that. You cannot use your children as sacrifice for fame. If you grow, they should grow, but you should not try to gain fame for your own children. It's not very kind. It's not nice. And so the whole idea of David being in an abandoned building is disgusting. That thought is very disgusting, because you should know that what you speak, the words from your mouth, become life. Is that what you would want for your son? For him to be in an abandoned building? And who is going to believe that storyline unless you're an evil woman to lay on your back talking so nicely and saying that your son should find his way back? Now, we know, I am believing that that's not the type of person that you are. I don't want to see you as that type of person. So I'm assuming that that's not true. But the fact that you would leave folks with that impression of you as that type of mother and the presentation you have shown the world so far, then they would say, well, the other children that you lost, was justified. People, those of you listening to this video, I'm going to say to you that we all contribute to these kinds of insanity in the world. Not to say not to support Amari or watch her videos or whatever, as I said, not to, enjoy her entertainment, but to be able to tell the person the truth, regardless of what they are going to say to you and how they're going to react. See, the last time I gave a sort of warning to someone, she took her Bible and she called upon her demon god to curse me. And I didn't ignore that. And I kind of made a mental note about that. This is very risky, talking to a person like Amari. But if there's any ounce of truth or any grain of truth about what I'm saying, Amari, I'm saying to you, I have no issues with you, enjoying this new fame. I have no issues with you doing what you need to do to survive. What you're doing is still work, because you're spending the time and the effort to do whatever you are doing. And whether I like it or not, it doesn't really matter. When you get paid for something, it is work. And so this is your work. But stop using your children. Stop sacrificing your children for fame. It's not a good look. don't do it. Now, David, you're an adult and you can make decisions for yourself unless you're under some kind of spell. And when I listened to your mom's last video, maybe it's not the last one, but the last video I watched with her telling you what you need to do and to get your shoes back and all that stuff, I think she was being very genuine in that. And somehow I think she's manipulated you guys with the story of mom, and she's controlled you guys with this message, you know, that she spiritually has a gift. And even if she does have the gift, for some reason she's not using it wisely, because a man who speak to your mom that way and disrespect your mom that way, and she would still find herself running back to that individual, just demonstrate that what gift could that be if you can't even secure your own self, keep your own self safe? How are you going to be able to influence others in a positive way, to give them advice that's going to keep them out of danger when she herself cannot keep herself out of danger? And I'm going to say here that until you are led to peace, Amari, until you're led to the place where you can, you know, get the signs, as you claim you hear from a spiritual source, and demonstrate where when you take the advice from that spiritual source, how you become bigger and better. Unless you can show that in your life, and I'm not talking about just gaining more money or more publicity or, you know, whatever it is, or fame. I'm not saying that that doesn't mean that you're not guided. I'm just saying that who is really guiding you? Now, I'm going to end with this. I see Cardi B with a new video out, and in a short time it had millions of views, which is a clear demonstration that this is the image that YouTube and other platforms such as that want to present of black people. That's the kind of image that's out there. So when folks like me come out to teach or to say certain things that could educate, you know, myself or other people, you know, it is fought. The same platform that we're told we can't say this or say that on. Look at Cardi B's video. And so, Amari, when you see that kind of thing, and other folks like you who's trying to make it big, when you see the kind of attention that people get when they behave this way, I understand why you continue to do it. But I'm saying at the end of the day, for every action, there's a reaction. And when we open our mouth to speak, whether you're saying to yourself, this is performance for my show, the things you open your mouth and say will eventually become reality. Now, I wish I could just do this video just speaking patois from the beginning to the end. I think people would understand me more, and maybe throw in some expletives and people would understand and appreciate it. But I'm not going to do that. And I'm not judging you. I'm going to end by saying I'm not judging you, Amari. But the truth is, what you're doing and what you continue to do, it demonstrates a lack of self-control. And it indicates that even though you claim you want fame, you're going to do everything to destroy it. And I'm also going to say that you put your children in harm's way, whether it's pretense or not, by just speaking and being around certain individuals. You endanger your son's life in Jamaica. You have shown no clear sign of self-control. You went there, and even if you were blessed with the opportunity to go back home to your children, you chose not to, in search of fame. You had many opportunities in life, a lot of start overs, and you've done a lot to destroy it. And if you continue that way, all your work, all the inroads you've made, you just find yourself going right back, because you don't have self-control, Amari. What you've done to your finances and that of your children's finances, and if they're not smart, you'll continue to be in a position where they can't help you and you can't help them. And that's got to stop. You can't want fame that much. You can't want fame that much to where you're willing to sell your soul and that of your children. Do whatever you want to do, or say what you want to say. Don't respond. I don't care. This is not what is for your response. I'm just saying what I need to say. And to say to David, you're a blessed son, a beautiful young man. Don't ruin your life. It's not worth it. Do what you need to do to get your business off the ground, and people have seen your work, and I guarantee you, from now on out, you can start making your own money. And if you want to stick with your mom and support your mom, that's wonderful. But don't be afraid to tell her when she's wrong. Don't be afraid to tell her when she's wrong. When you love somebody, you tell them the truth.